Hey guys, welcome to the start of another weekly reading vlog, and once again we are going to be having Spookopoly pick my books for the week. So if you missed the first vlog, I'll put a link to that in the cards. But hello again, it's Sunday and I've been being quite productive. Josh is working. He is actually going to be staying with me this week, so that was unexpected and kind of like changed out my weekly plan, but it's always nice to have them around. As I said, I've been productive most of the day. I did my weekly planning. I finished editing tomorrow's video. I had like a nice treat myself shower, and then I made dinner. I also have been working into my current role, which was my most recent purchase. And that ended up being Starling House by 𝗖cie RH, which I got from Book of the Month. I have had many of 𝗖cie HR's books on my TBR, and I've constantly wanted to get to them, but just never have. Ironically, the newest book of theirs is the one that I'm finally getting to. And of all of them, this is probably the one that I was least interested in, but I've heard positive things and it got me intrigued. We are following our main character Opal, who is obsessed with this house in her area called the Starling House. It was once owned by the author of her favorite childhood book. Opal has a rough life. She and her brother currently live in a hotel. She is determined to save up enough money to get her brother out of this town and hopefully to a private school. He has asthma, and unfortunately the area they live in is definitely suffering some environmental effects because of the, I want to say it's a coal mine. No, the coal mine's out of, no. The coal mine isn't active anymore. There's some sort of power company or something that unfortunately has been polluting this town for quite some time, and seeing as how her brother has asthma, it just is worsened by that. Opal ends up getting the opportunity to work for the current inhabitant of Starling House, which is Arthur, a very odd recluse man who is tasked with being the warden of Starling House. And I'm about 100 pages in and I'm still not really sure I understand what that means. The house itself definitely feels like a character in the story, which is something that I do enjoy. It's very gothic, sort of magical realism-y, in like a creepy way. It's not necessarily horror though. There are also footnotes, which I think is insinuating that this is a story Opal is writing to us. Opal's perspective is first-person perspective, whereas Arthur's is third person. I'm also not the biggest fan that even though the chapters are short, will alternate perspectives within a single chapter. I'm feeling very meh about this thus far. It's intriguing, but I don't feel a desperation to keep reading it. Opal as a character is fine. Arthur is like kind of an asshole, but 9 times out of 10 it just seems like he's socially awkward and is always putting his foot in his mouth. One thing that I can totally foresee is going to cause issues in the future is that Opal is not being 100% honest with her little brother, and that's kind of irritating the crap out of me because they're literally the only person that the other has. So why would you be hiding things from him? And it's not really even excused away like, oh, she's protecting him, because she's not really. So I don't really get why she's just actively lying or not telling him things, and it's annoying to me, especially given their circumstances. I really feel like she should be much more honest with him because she's been experiencing weird things and she's doing a lot of these things for his benefit, which we know the law is not always a deterrent for her, but what she's currently doing is completely legal. So like, why is she not telling him? Sam is being really adorable and just splayed out on the ground. I wish I could show you, but I don't want to move my phone. Anyway, so I'm 100 pages in. I think this like just hits 300 pages. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep reading it and we'll see. I made a comment to someone that I wasn't loving it, and I was told to keep pushing through because it does get better. But right now I don't have the highest expectations. Yeah, so that's it for now. I think I'm gonna finish journaling like I was earlier and watching my episode of Mystery Incorporated, and then I'm gonna make some sleepy time tea and perhaps keep reading into Starling House. Hey y'all, happy Monday. I've had a pretty good day. overall, honestly. Had a delicious lunch. Thankfully, work was not too insane. I did film a video. I took Faith on a walk, although it was a little later than anticipated, and I got sprinkled on a little bit. It's now possibly starting to rain, which is delightful. And then I made a new recipe, chickpea tikka masala, which was pretty good, a little under seasoned. I think I probably could have, I don't know, added something extra to it to really amp it up. Although I've been having a fairly decent day, I might hate Starling House. Okay, that's a little dramatic. Maybe not necessarily hate it, but I am incredibly frustrated with this book right now, and it is for all of the reasons I expected. If many a characters were just honest, literally, if people stopped lying, hiding, and giving half-truths, this book could be 100 pages shorter. And that is genuinely impressive. Like, it's not even miscommunication, it is purposeful miscommunication. And it's so annoying. This one thing that has been driving Opal, we've just learned, was completely pointless. Not to mention, Arthur is starting to get on my nerves as well, because he keeps pushing Opal away even though she keeps returning, and he's shocked that she returns again, only for him to once more push her away. And it's like, can we stop? Can y'all just both shut the f up and do this? Like, I'm still not really convinced by the romance. There's been a few like throwaway lines here and there that are quite cute. I don't feel a lot of tension. Well, okay, no. I feel tension between them. I don't really feel chemistry. So it just feels like, rather than this being based on actual chemistry, a relationship actually developing here naturally, it more seems like both of these characters have just clung on to the single person who is around their age and romantically available and happened to be nice to them. That's not enough to get me invested in a relationship. I mean, that's not even really healthy. It's really frustrating because the fantastical elements and the house are so interesting to me, but like everything else about this book has been incredibly irritating. And I get it. Opal's not a good person. She's a liar. Her mom taught her to like cheat, steal, gamble, like make her own way in the world. That's cool. You can be honest with the single person in your life who you do everything for. You can be honest to the one guy who you literally at this point risked your life for. Like, it's so frustrating. But I'm almost done with it, so I'm gonna finish this freaking book. I am gonna try and finish this thing tonight so I don't have to roll it into tomorrow, because I don't want to spend another day reading this book. I have heard the ending is worth it. I'm not holding my breath. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. I finished out Starling House last night. I really couldn't even enjoy the ending of this book because I was still so irritated by the fact that a lot of the plot could have so easily been avoided if the characters were just honest with each other, if they would have stopped lying. In my opinion, that being a driving force of the story feels like lazy writing. Then there's this sort of villain character who she also feels like a driving part of the plot, except like we hit the climax and she's completely inconsequential. What was the point in her then? That just felt so unsatisfying of a resolution. I guess in regard to like the fantastical elements and Starling House, yeah, that was kind of interesting. The perspective of it was different than I was initially anticipating, but at the same time, I was never convinced by this romance between Opal and Arthur. And then there's that same interaction that had
already happened twice and I thought was annoying both times, happened a third time. By that point, I was like, can y'all just shut up and tell each other that you love each other? That would be so much better. Also, the epilogue is done in this really funky way where it's like an outside narrator, and I still don't really understand what was the necessity in sort of nodding to that writing style of it, because it's never really wrapped up. There's also the footnotes, which eventually just disappeared. They really didn't add anything. There were drawings in this, which I did think was pretty cool. However, I also felt like those were really underutilized. I wish there were more of them. Like, across the board, this book was just unsatisfying. I think that's like the term I can go with for it, was unsatisfying. I finished it and almost immediately was like, yeah, this is probably going to be around a 2-star. And now, having done my compile rating, I can say I was correct. So I went ahead and did my next roll last night. We were last on most recent purchase. Yeah, we're not gonna focus on that for too long. Let's go ahead. We got 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chance card, okay. So I keep my chance cards in this envelope. We're just gonna mix these babies up. And then I'm gonna draw one out. Oh, it's upside down. White horse, okay. So we ended up with a chance card. I finally got to utilize those. I drew White Horse by Erika Wurth, which I believe this is a literary horror story in which we're following a woman who receives an heirloom of a bracelet from her mother, who she actually never knew. And then after receiving it, she starts to be haunted by a ghost. Apart from that, I know the author is Indigenous, so we have some good rep here. I've heard very mid things about this, but I tend to like literary horror stories, and I think having my adjusted expectations may work in my favor. However, I wasn't really feeling like picking this up today, so instead, like I mentioned in my last weekly reading vlog, I grabbed, I think it's 4 through 9 of Spy Family by Tetsuya Endo from my library, so I continued that with volume 5. Unfortunately, the cover is like my least favorite character, Yuri, who is really freaking weird. There is also some of him in this, but there is an introduction of 2 other characters who are so freaking ridiculous that I am greatly entertained by. We have Nightfall, who, or no, that's not his name. What is it? Daybreak. He's ridiculous. Nightfall is a spy who works alongside Twilight, and she really wants to be involved in Operation Strix. I'll just put it that way. The issues she causes brings me immense joy, because Anya can read her mind, obviously, as a telepath, and she thinks this lady is just straight crazy. It's so funny. Also had this fantastic facial expression from Anya. Once again, I absolutely love that one. It cracks me up every single time. And then the extra mission at the end is just freaking adorable. So I'm very glad I picked this up so I could continue reading it. Plus, this actually worked out perfectly because Josh and I watched the first episode that has been released and dubbed over for the 2nd season of the anime. It continues to be adorable and just bring me such happiness. It's actually one of the side missions from an earlier volume of the manga that I loved. So seeing that live, fantastic. We also watched the first movie for My Hero Academia and the newest episode of Rick and Morty, or well, first episode of the season, not the newest one. I utilized some of my brother's leftover chicken broth to make soup tonight, and it was delicious. Seeing as how it's been raining for a majority of the day, it was definitely a soup sort of night. And now it is really late, and I'm gonna go to bed. Hey y'all, happy, what's today? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Today, it's kind of been a day. It hasn't been terrible or anything, but I had an eye doctor appointment, so it like totally messed with the rest of my day, and I got my eyes dilated, attempted to go back to work, which was a terrible idea because I tried to focus on the computer screen and just ended up giving myself a headache.
So I came home and took a nap. It's been on and off raining all night also. And then unfortunately, the rice I made for our sushi bowls for dinner was overcooked. And then I used too much vinegar for turning it into sushi rice. So the rice itself was not satisfying. Everything else with it was tasty. Rice, not satisfying. I have officially started into White Horse. I don't have the cover on, but I took this with me to the eye doctor so I could read it while I was waiting. And I got 16 pages in. We've met our main character, Carrie, who is very much like not wanting to be tied to anybody, but she is best friends with her cousin. However, unfortunately, her cousin is married to a man who, he's not necessarily a bad man, but he definitely wants his wife's entire life to revolve around him, and it doesn't. He does not particularly love the fact that his wife hangs out with Carrie and it's just the two of them, which is so weird. I guess it's just like a control issue sort of thing. It's pretty much the majority of it. We know that her mother abandoned her 2 days after she was born, and then because of her mother's abandonment, her father became an alcoholic. That is the extent of what I currently know. I just made a cup of sleepy time tea, so I'm going to work on reading this while I drink that, and hopefully it'll bring me back down so I can actually get some sleep tonight, because I don't know, I was pretty tired this morning. So that nap, it really hit the spot.
Hey y'all, so long time no see. It's actually Saturday night. It's my birthday. Last few days have just been a little crazy. So Thursday night I went to my brother's. We had Chipotle, and then we watched a lot of My Hero Academia. Finished the first official arc in season 4, and I am continuing to really enjoy it. Josh is also excited because that means he and I can continue watching too. And then on Friday, I went out with my boss for lunch, which was really nice. My mom came over that afternoon and brought me my first book haul for my birthday. So first up, she got me The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, which is the first book in the Winter Night trilogy. I believe it's very based in like Russian mythology and folklore. I know the writing is supposed to be very lyrical and lush and really atmospheric and kind of perfect for winter time. I think this might be the book club pick for Story Continued book club in December. She also grabbed me Unlikable Female Characters by Anna Bogotuskaya. I apologize, I probably just butchered that. Ironically, this was on my TBR already. However, she said she saw the title of it and immediately thought of me, so she had to buy this one. The blurb, I love it. How bitches, train wrecks, shrews, and crazy women have taken over pop culture and liberated women from having to be nice. I especially am excited for this one off of having just finished Mayfly, which definitely had some commentary about unlikable female characters and really truly unhinged psychopathic female characters. I really am excited to read this one, and I definitely am going to want to annotate the crap out of it while reading it, so I'm so glad to have a copy of this physically. Faith is all up in my business right now, so I'm very sorry if you hear her breathing or sniffing at me. And then finally, she got me The Art Thief by Michael Finkel, a true story of of love, crime, and a dangerous obsession. Apparently, this one she was automatically intrigued by. The title made her think it was up my alley, and then the bookseller said that he highly recommended this one, so she had to grab it for me. I have seen this around, particularly because I feel like the cover is very memorable, but I don't think I've actually heard anybody talk about it, so I am intrigued to get into this one. Later Friday night, Josh and I went to a haunted house, our final one of the season, and for the second year in a row, Josh won free tickets to this haunted house after we had already gone, which is hilarious. And it was actually very fun. Since we got the tickets themselves for free, we were able to buy fast passes for pretty cheap. So we went through all of the houses. We went through a few of them twice, and it was interesting to see how things had changed over the weekends. The first time we went, the best one was the clown one. This time it was either the clown one or actually this like bayou style one, which was the least favorite the first time we went. But this time the actors were so great in that. A lot of fun. And with that, also Josh was a wonderful boyfriend and bought me a few books for my birthday as well. So he got, first up, Raven Song by TJ Klune in these brand new beautiful covers. The Barnes & Noble exclusive edition has these stunning end papers, the little wolf with the raven on it. Raven Song is my favorite of the series. Honestly, was not planning on rereading these books for December, but I'm getting more and more tempted to do so, especially after getting this one. And then I'm also really tempted to reread A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, which he got me this paperback edition. I actually really like the new cover. I mean, the original indie published cover is beautiful as well, but this new cover is stunning, and I love that the paperback is deckled edges. I think they add character to a story, and for this story in particular, I think they're perfect. Also, cannot wait to reread this one and annotate the crap out of it because the writing is stunning. Seeing as how we were out pretty late last night and then we stayed up watching Happy Death Day, we slept in, which honestly was great. Went to Starbucks to get my birthday drink, and then we watched a bunch of YouTube videos that I had been putting off that were very entertaining. I did read slightly further into White Horse by Erika Wurth. I actually got to 196 pages. And unfortunately, it seems that this is just a very poor weekly reading vlog because I have come to the decision that I'm going to DNF this. The biggest reason is actually pretty personal, if I'm being honest, but I can say it revolves around the drama regarding Carrie's cousin and her husband, the whole weird relationship issue they have going on. So Carrie's cousin is Debbie. Debbie's husband is not physically abusive, but he is definitely very controlling. He can be slightly manipulative, and he definitely utilizes weaponized incompetence. He also does not like Debbie and Carrie hanging out, and it is just getting so exhausting to read about. It's not that I don't care, it's the fact that I shouldn't care, seeing as how the focus of the story is supposed to be around Carrie trying to figure out what happened to her mother, finally putting her mother's soul at rest. But I can't focus on that because of all the drama happening with her cousin. The writing in this also just isn't really my bag. To me, it reads stilted, just because a lot of the sentence structure is very simple and often it's very tell, not show. I think the themes behind this book are very interesting, particularly looking at missing and murdered Indigenous women. I really enjoy seeing exploration of Native American folklore. I like the aspects of her culture that we've seen. I really like seeing those aspects of the story, but they just feel so underutilized. The main plot of this is supposed to be about Carrie figuring out what happened to her mother. Feels like that plot has progressed so slowly and very little has really happened because we keep getting distracted by all of this side stuff. And by this point, unfortunately, I just really don't care. Sometimes I need the extra push. I need like the validation by other people to tell me it's okay to put a book down. That's ridiculous because I'm usually like a big proponent of DNFing, but in this case I told Josh that he needed to tell me to DNF it. And once he did, I realized like, yeah, I need to put it down. It's driving me insane. I tried it. I really tried to push through because I wanted to enjoy this, but I just don't. But yeah, that's the end of this week's reading vlog. Thank you so much for coming to my channel today, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have all my socials as well as a few ways you can support me linked in the description. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!